Can you hear me talking there? Make sure to send me on the score stuff because I can't talk then. You sure? I don't mind, like, I don't mind not talking, just
there in association with Co-op Superstores. Welcome to the Examiner's coverage of the 2020 Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship. A lovely evening here on Leeside as we close in to throw in for the meeting of Blackrock and Erins own. Des Curran delighted to have two-time county senior champion and of course former Cork All-Ireland winning captain Mark Landers alongside me. Mark, I was talking to the Erins own manager Martin Bowen during the week. I had a very good chat with him and he said, look, while every club would love to have success in this championship this year, the big thing, it's a victory in itself that everyone's out hurling and there's this championship hurling to actually play.
Yeah, and you'd have to concur with those sentiments, because I suppose 3 months ago when we all heard John Horn giving his, I suppose, interview to the nation with Des Cahill on the Sunday game, there was a very strong view at that moment in time that there was going to be no hurling or football played, and the GA fields all over the country was were going to be closed down. Like, so I suppose from that perspective it's great, and Martin is dead right. Like, I think he can speak for all the clubs that everybody's delighted that we're back hurling and playing football at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's been an extraordinary year, an unprecedented year, and now for these clubs nobody knows where they're at really until a ball is thrown in here in serious championship hurling. Plus add in the format to that, you've got to hit the ground running, two to come out of a group of four.
That's right, yeah. I mean, look, you must give great credit to Kevin O'Donovan and Tracy Kennedy and Ronan Dewans and Didier McGowans who have come up with the new format. Like, for people that wouldn't be au fait with it, basically we have 5 grades between senior and intermediate now in Cork, and they're all down in grades of just 12 teams in each grade, and you have 3 groups of 4, so you're going to have 3 matches, and as you said, there's the top 2 teams are going to go forward into the latter stages of the championship. The third team finish out in the group are not in the championship anymore, and then the 3 teams down in the bottom, we said, who are in the 4th place position, they're going to be subject to relegation. So from that point of view, very, very interesting format, but very enthusiastic, and everybody's really looking forward to it. And you also mentioned about, look, where teams are going to be at. They're not going to know exactly where they're at this moment in time, because they've been playing, I suppose, 3 or 4 challenge matches is what they've got in. They normally would have league matches amongst themselves, amongst the clubs in Cork, and you'd know fairly, how you're going. But at the moment, I suppose it's we were treated to a very good game last night, I think, in Midland and Sar. So you're right, like, it'll be basically every team how they've reacted to the lockdown scenario as to where they're at in championship, and we're going to see an awful lot of that evidence this weekend in particular.
I don't know if they still have the banners up down your way, but Imachilly have been the standard setters, haven't they? 3 in a row last year, first team since the Great Bars team of the early 80s to manage that. But this year is different now. We've got Kieran Cronin stepping up into the managerial role. Fergal Condon, you'd know better, I think he might still be involved in that, but also the players that they won't have at their disposal. Father O'Neill's were in action last night, so there's no Decky Dalton, there's no Mark O'Keefe, no Ger Millerick, Paddy O'Sullivan out of Cloyne, none of them available to Imachilly this year.
Yeah, I suppose there are big changes, but I suppose, like, where they are losing a number of players on one side, they're getting back Colm Spillane, and they're getting back Niall O'Leary, and they're getting back Barry Lawton from Castlemartyr. So there are 3 players that would maybe, I suppose, balance how things are going. The biggest thing for Imachilly this year, will be, they're going for 4 in a row. Have they still got the hunger? You mentioned that they have a change in manager. Fergal Condon has done a fantastic job knitting all those clubs together and getting them to play for Imachilly, and that's what Sean O'Leary had done prior to, I suppose, back in 95, 96, that time when Imachilly contested 7 county semi-finals in a row. But like, that will be a change. The biggest challenge for Imachilly this year is the fact that they won't be able to get together because of the condensed nature of the championship. Clubs aren't going to be, I suppose, as forgiving in terms of giving their players the opportunity to play with Imachilly. So that is the biggest challenge. And then put on top of that the fact that a new manager, and I suppose the fact that they're going for 4 in a row, do they have the hunger? But they certainly have the players, but it'll be very difficult for them to put 4 in a row together.
Yeah, very different season for them. I think going through the record books last night, the Glen did 8 in a row in the 30s into the 40s. You'd take 4 down the airway for now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely, but they had one fantastic player in Christy Ring at the time, and I look, there's no Christy Ring at this moment in time in the Imachilly ranks. But that team back then for the Glen were absolutely magnificent. But look, the thing goes around. I suppose a number of years ago, Imachilly wouldn't have been fancied to do 3 in a row. Fergal Condon and his team is selected along with Derek Barrett and Jimmy Smithy, fellas that I would have played with. They've done a fantastic job in rekindling that spirit that we had with Imachilly in the 90s.
Well, let's look at the other contenders. Maybe you mentioned Middleton and Sarve served up a great opener to this grade of the championship last night. And as we said, Middleton are on the back foot now. 2 sides who'd fancy actually winning it. They won it in 13 and 14 respectively. They've been to finals, lost finals since then. But all of a sudden there's a bit of a squeeze on Middleton now, losing that first game.
There is a squeeze on them, but like we always knew at the start of the season when this draw was made, because you had Middleton Stars and you had Douglas and you had Ballyhay. Now two of those teams out of the, so there's three fancy teams in there, like Douglas as well. So we always knew that one of those teams wasn't going to get through, but it's early days yet, and this is what I'm about this new format in the championship. It adds intrigue because it is creating conversation amongst everybody around the county now. Oh, Middleton are under pressure now last night.
Did you like what you saw with them under the Ben O'Connor, the running game that we saw with Newtown Chandron with Charleville? Did you like what you saw last night?
It is very early days, like, and I mean it would be a big change away from the old style of Middleton, which would be get it and hit it down long and stuff like that. We saw glimpses of that last night, and for long periods in the game last night Middleton were the better team. I think particularly in the first half, a big turning point of that game last night was the fact that Conor Lehan, I think, was full forward in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the second half, and Middleton conceded a goal and 2 points in that period of time. And in a tight game like that, I think that had a big bearing in the game. But it's very, very early days for Ben to be I suppose imposing any game or any game plan on a team at the moment.
Now I do want to ask you about that other group, Glen Rovers, the Bars, who played tonight over Páirc Uí Chaoimh, na Piarsaigh and Carroll Tool. We'll get to that over the course of the evening, because we want to turn our attention to tonight's action now. Blackrock against Erins Own here at Páirc Uí Rinn. Earlier in the week we got the views of the Blackrock manager Fergal Ryan.
Erins Own game on Saturday night. I'd rate it highly. I mean, Erins Own they've been a great club team over the last number of years. My first year with Blackrock was probably 4.5-5 years ago now, and Erins Own beat us in that quarter final. And they're always a strong club side. Of course, we'll be going into that challenge hoping to win it, and expectations will be high on our part, as I'm sure Erins Own will have the same. But I'd rate our challenge very high, to be honest with you.
Sometimes it's right to plan.
I suppose the goal is to win a county. That's been the goal every year I've been there, and I presume it's everyone's goal that had previously managed a team before me and will be after me, because that's just an expectation that Blackrock should always hold high, is winning a county. I suppose we have a couple of obstacles in our way, and we have to get over them before we can get to the latter stages of this.
But it's so much easier to pretend.
Well, I suppose every team will challenge for it. I suppose the ones that we're focused on is Erins Own, Newtown Chandron and Bishopstown. And once we can overcome those obstacles, well, then we'll see who comes over from the other groups, and they'll be our next challenge. But initially we're only talking about our group, and those 3 games will be the obstacles for us. I suppose we're in the same boat as every other team. We got the restrictions that were handed out by the government and the GA, and we stuck to them. We tried to go in training in small pods when it initially was able to do so, and then we got into full training once that ban was lifted. And the good thing about this is that every team is in the same boat. No, I suppose every team was scrambling for challenge games, and there was a lot of doors you knocked on, as I presume some teams knocked on our door as well, and you had a match organised or it didn't fit in with your schedule. But we had a number of games, a couple outside the county and a few within the county, and I hope that that has given us enough hurling from the point of view of approaching this game Saturday night against Erins Own. Well, look, we've a good few niggles. I suppose when you're trying to pack, playing and training into a small window, there's a high risk there. And I suppose every team is trying to do their best from the point of view of get their team prepared as best as possible. And I know that we had a challenge game, we had 3 in 10 days there at one stage, so that's a lot to load onto players. And we have a few niggles. So yeah, we have a couple of injuries. We're going to wait till the last minute to see which ones can make the game or not, and those who don't, they'll be replaced by someone as able wearing a Blackrock jersey. So look, at the moment I suppose it's too hard to say how many we'll have or won't have for the Erins own game on Saturday night.
Tony, the championship is almost upon us now. It's been a long wait. What have the last few weeks been like?
The last few weeks have been a bit difficult. The last few weeks have been a bit difficult with obviously with the lockdown and that, you know. But in fairness, the players kept up their fitness, so we were glad to get back and at it again, you know. So the last few weeks have gone pretty well training wise. So we're quite happy. We know like that you know, Blackrock will be a big test for us today, you know. But we're hoping for a big performance. We also know like we haven't kind of performed well enough in the last 2 years. But we're hoping for a big performance now with the lads now today, and we're kind of happy with the way things have went, you know.
When things shut down, there would have been a personal responsibility, I suppose, an individual responsibility on all the lads. How did they handle that?
They handled it very well. Like obviously, it's tough for young people in general, you know. But they handled it very well, and they kept up their fitness. But it's hard to maintain that over a period of time when you don't know when you're coming back. So obviously, when the news broke like that they were coming back, a lot of the players then kind of upped the ante again, you know. So it went pretty well.
How do you read the group in terms of the 4 teams in it, the 3 and yourselves?
Well, look, all the groups are difficult. This is a difficult group, you know. Like Blackrock are a very strong side, and we're aware of that. And obviously, Newtown Shannon will be a big challenge, and so will Bishopstown. So look, we're just looking for a performance, and hopefully like that we can take it into the next game. It's obviously very important to win your first game, but look, you know, we're looking. We're hoping to come out of the group, you know, but obviously we're well aware that it's going to be very tough, you know.
So first up, it's Blackrock, two clubs hoping to do better than last year.
Yeah, like I said, you know, our last 2 seasons haven't been great, you know. So like, you know, we obviously have a few new young guys introduced this year, you know, and you know, it's you know, we're quite happy with the way they've performed over the last couple of weeks. So we're hoping, we know it's going to be tough, you know, and we've no doubt Bishopstown will be tough and Newtown Shandon will be tough, you know, but like we feel that we're as well prepared as we can be, you know.
So those are views of the Blackrock manager Fergal Ryan. We also got up with Tony O'Connor about an hour ago. Tony, one of the Erins own selectors. Let's start with the Blackrock team, Mark. Some big names here, but some big names missing as well. No Michael O'Halloran, who's out with an ankle injury. Niall Cashman still recovering from his ACL. Alan O'Callaghan out as well. But some exciting, we're looking at Alan Connolly, the teenager up in the 14 jersey, an exciting one to watch. And John Cashman, who's taken over from Niall in the centre half back position.
I mean, I suppose you'd have to say like that. I suppose there are 3 big names out of the Blackrock team there, as you have mentioned.
Yeah, Ron Naveen crept up on us there, Mark. Quick thoughts on the Blackrock team?
Yeah, I suppose the quick thoughts is that I'm really looking forward to see Alan Connolly at full forward and Ty DC son of Pat playing corner forward, and we have a couple of famous names there. John Cashman centre back, who's the son of Jim, and a nephew, Tom Cashman's.
And we'll mention the Erins own team as well. There's a few lads who've been around a long time. You look at Owen Bear Murphy, still racking up the scores. He's one again to watch today. Kieran Hero Murphy, who played in goal last year, is amongst the subs today because Shea Bowen, the manager's son, is back in goal. Your thoughts on that one as well?
And Shane Murphy, corner back there, has been an outstanding servant. I suppose the big thing for me here is Robbie O'Flynn playing up front. We really need to see him coming forward from a Cork perspective, but his brother James is gone back centre back today, and that's going to be a very interesting move to see how that'll go for Erins own.
Yeah. Everyone encroaching here. It's a big day for the referee as well as Kieran Regan. But we've gone traditional with the throw-in, Mark. We've 8 and 9 and 8 and 9 in there, and we're underway at Páirc Uí Rinn. Big opening fixture in this group between the 32-time county champions Blackrock. They've not won it though since 2002, so there's that pressure always there to be the side to end that famine. But it's Erins own on the front foot straight away. Hurl put in, but no free given against Ronan Toomey. And now Blackrock can work it away with their attack-minded left half back Daniel Meany.
Yeah, very physical opening. There's already now, and there's for the first time I've seen a hurley being broken actually in the throwing of the game, and they look like they were going to be handy free, and there's another free that possibly could have been given but wasn't given. So Kieran O'Regan is letting the game travel.
Ball into the inside forward line for Blackrock. They've got some slick operators inside there. 2 late call-ups. Kieran Cormac playing centre forward. Kevin O'Keefe is in there. Good eye for a point. Kevin O'Keefe. That's Erins own who work it away. Had a few challenge matches against Rowan Moore and Carricktool as they were building up for this one. Low ball into that full forward line. Coming out to meet it was Morris O'Carroll. Blackrock avert the danger, and it's back with the goalkeeper Gavin Connolly, who's put his injury issues behind him. Out towards this stand side. Angle ball across the pitch from Mark O'Keefe. Erins own sharp in defence early on though. Out first of the ball.
Yeah, and there's 2 balls from Shane Murphy out in front of his man on board, and a good clearance with the first one and a short pass in the second one, so has everything in the game.
Richie Lade, cornerback for Blackrock. County Championship last year, and there are 2 or 3, maybe 4, even a handful in the senior panel today. Strong work by James O'Carroll from Erins own as they go on the attack again. It's a sparsely populated full forward line from Erins own point of view though. Both sides feeling each other out in the early stages here. Mark O'Keefe gets on it again. That's blocked down, falls to Stephen Murphy. He's been on the fringes of the Cork panel in the past. There's a big strong physical presence coming into that half forward line.
And it's great to see Des already that the referee hasn't blown. We're nearly gone 3 minutes into the game, and there has been no free blown, and it is a very wholehearted performance from both teams at this moment in time. And let's hope this continues.
Great for Blackrock to have Cathal Cormac back after his injury issues. He was away travelling as well. As we mentioned, the absentees that they have. Niall Cashman, rehab apparently from what we hear from the club is going well. That's the brother filling in at centre half back in the meantime, John Cashman. Sons, as you mentioned already, of Jim and nephews of Tom. Here's an opportunity for Erins own as they come forward. Cathal Lenihan. The youngster Cathal Lenihan who will be watched today, I'm sure, in terms of inter-county representation.
Absolutely, yeah. He's available for the Cork under-20s, and I think the Cork selectors will be keeping an eye on him tonight. But one of the key battles today will be Daniel Meany and Robbie O'Flynn for Erins own and Blackrock.
It lands in the half-forward line as we still seek our first score of the game. It might come here. Strong work by Tyg Deasy, and over the bar. The opening score. It's taken almost 4 minutes, but Tyg Deasy the man to provide it for Blackrock.
And the funny thing is that his marker Shane Murphy had got the first 3 clearances, but the first ball that had a good opportunity that had landed in front of him, Tyg was onto it, took a sidestep and slapped it over with his left hand side. A great score.
It's an exciting full forward line in there for Blackrock. It's going to be a good test of Cian O'Connor, Cormac Dooley, Shane Murphy. Full back line for Erins own starting today. Ball down into the corner again. Erins own reading most of these well, getting out in front. In that case it was Cian O'Connor.
And we saw a good bit of skill there a while ago from the number 15 Morris O'Callaghan, who gathered the ball and kept his hand in play, and it was good work with the linesman and the referee that they didn't give a line ball because the ball never crossed the line. Pretty good decision by the referee and his linesman.
Shane O'Keefe just looking at him making his way in and around the square there, being tracked. Sideline cut towards Kieran Cormac. Once again Erins own get on it in the form of Cathal O'Mahony. Here's Sean Kelly. Again, they're exploring that left-hand side quite a bit in the early stages. That time it was Owen Bear Murphy the target. Apparently 20 goals, 424 points, his championship tally. I'm sure 1 or 2 might have gone missing along the way, but he'll accept that.
Yeah, and he has been an outstanding free taker
here's a
as
chance.
well.
It's Alan Connolly. Desperate defence on the end line, but it's bundled in. I think it's Kieran Cormac who's got the goal.
Yes, and Alan Connolly made it, and then over to Shane Murphy that got the flick, or the Bone, the keeper, that actually stopped it initially first. But great work by Kieran Cormac to follow it up and finish the net. It's a great start for Blackrock.
Kieran Cormac 5 points in the championship last year. In the games against Ballyhay and Newtown Shandrum. 2 sides here looking to go better than last year. Here's a chance for Ronan Toomey. Will it carry? Not quite. Grabbed under his crossbar by Gavin Connolly. Good open game of hurling. Good pace to it so far. 5.5 minutes gone. Blackrock with the scores, but Erins own with plenty of possession themselves.
Plenty possession, Des, to be fair, and just I suppose that shot at goals dropped short there from Ronan. 2 metres, a good effort, and great save by Gavin Connolly. A tricky enough one for his first possession of the game to catch the ball under the crossbar. But in truth, I suppose it has been nothing but a 50-50 game so far. But Blackrock have put the scores on the board.
Gavin Connolly getting plenty on that. It's the goal scorer Cormac coming out to meet it. Away by Shane Murphy. 36 now, one of the All-Ireland minor winners for Cork in 2001 when Erin's own contributed, I think, maybe a handful to that team, including the captain Tomás O'Leary. Kieran Hero Murphy as well.
Yeah, the hero didn't make the team. I was actually talking to him in Midland yesterday in the AIB. He was very, very disappointed. It's his first time in a long time not making a start. But I think he missed a week's training there on the lead up to championship. So any good management will tell you need all your guys around and in the lead up to championship. So I think he didn't make it on that basis.
I think with respect to him, you get to 37 as well, and there's younger lads pushing for spots as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Stalemate in the middle of the field. It's Erin's own who get on the ball. Little hand pass forward from Sam Guilfoyle. Good opportunity here. Umpire's having a good look at it.
Yeah.
And happy with it over the bar from Robbie O'Flynn.
And a great score from Robbie, and John Cashman got a slight flick in it, but it went over the bar. But it was great to see Robbie, his first real introduction to the game after 7 minutes, his first ball.
He'll be looking for a big few weeks, Robbie O'Flynn, won't he?
I think he will. Yeah. I think Cian Kingston will be watching this closely today, because Cork need a ball winner on the half-hour line and somebody that can break through. So I mentioned earlier on that himself and Daniel Meany, who is the son of Liam Meany, who played centre forward for the great Blackrock team there in the 90s. Daniel is a very, very promising player, an excellent footballer as well. I'd been involved with development squads 7 or 8 years ago, so I'd be really looking forward to the two of them. That's a big clash today.
Sideline ball taken by James O'Carroll. Doesn't get a whole lot of distance on it. Played forward by Shane O'Keefe down into the corner. This time it's the Blackrock man who's first out. It's a great looking effort from right over on that far side. And Ty Deasy's got another.
Yeah, that's a really quality score there now. Into the corner, beat Shane Murphy out with first touch and went out in the arc and slapped it over off the left. A great score.
Two teams who met in the championship last in 2016, the quarterfinals. Erin's Owen won it by 3 points. Here 111 to 1-8. Owen Murphy got 6 of those points. They go on to lose the final though against the Glen. The Glen and the Bars tonight at Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well. And what a group that is in with Napier got a good run a couple of years back as well, and Carrigtwohill, the surprise of 2011.
Yes, but the real mouth-watering game is the Glen and the Bars tonight, and it's been covered live on RT, which is, I suppose, a great game for the nation to get as well. Two quality teams as well, and a nice sprinkling of inter-county players on view as well this evening. Patrick Horgan, obviously, from the Glen, and then you have the Cahillans on the Bar side.
Incredible to think the Bars with 25 senior titles haven't won it since 93. Haven't got to a final, I think, since 93.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose the big thing really is that there's been a change in management in the Bars, because Ronan Curran was involved for a couple of years and had done a very, very good job with them.
Well, that one's come off the post. Chance here if Erin's Own can get on it, but they can't. Blackrock with the numbers back there. It's Richie Lade trying to work them clear. Here is John Cashman being bottled up though. Good swarming efforts from the Erin's Own men.
It was great hassling by Erin's Own forwards there now and John Cashman to dispossess him.
And they come out with the ball as well, and here's an opportunity. Well, that's testimony. The finish was really good from Ronan Toomey, but a lot of credit to the men who just stopped John Cashman coming out of the ball, turned it over and gave Toomey the chance.
It's a fantastic score now, and great work rate, and that'll give the Erin's Own backs a great boost as well, to see the forwards working that hard.
Good showing for the ball here from Kieran Cormac. Finds himself right slap bang in the middle of the pitch. Switched across by Cathal Cormac in towards Alan Connolly, who turns sharply. Oh, they rate this 19-year-old so highly. One of the best, they believe, Blackrock, the fabled Blackrock, have produced at underage in many a year.
Yeah, he looks very sharp, Des, now, doesn't he? Like that's 2 balls that he's lashed onto first time. He has a great bit of pace, and he's a nice bit of swagger and a good touch with him as well. Yeah, very, very impressive so far.
And he's got Ty Deasy one side, he's got Kevin O'Keefe the other side of him. And here's an opportunity for Kevin O'Keefe, and he's goal side. Will he go for goal? Takes the extra touch. Feared he was going to be hooked, trying to scramble it into the back of the net. Yeah. It just won't go for Blackrock for the moment. They're still in there though. Erin's Own struggling to get this clear. He's picked it up brilliantly and knocked it over the bar. Connolly's made a great start.
Yeah, he's very, very sharp now, and I mean, I suppose from a Blackrock perspective there now, they had a goal chance. Kevin O'Keefe had taken an extra step, but it was a good dummy. But great work by Keane O'Connor, cornerback for Erins to get a hook on it. But I suppose the major thing was they got a point out of the score, which probably should have been a goal, but they got the point.
Yeah, they left with something, and it moves them on to 1-3 to 2 points now in the ascendancy. Blackrock. Erins looking to reply though. It's Robbie O'Flynn.
Great score again from
his
Robbie.
eye is in as well.
That's two very, very, very good scores now from Robbie O'Flynn. He'll be delighted with that start for his game.
Back-to-back Fitzgibbon Cup wins with UCC. Started that incredible comeback win against IT Carlow earlier this year. Munster Under-21 winner in 2018 as well, Robbie O'Flynn. Plenty of competition for the forward berths under Kieran Kingston this year, no doubt. He'll be looking to catch the eye again here. And this is from right on halfway.
And usually influential locally, I suppose, in the fundraiser that the Cork Senior Hurlers did for Marymount. His mum works with in the Marymount, so that was fantastic for Robbie to be leading that and getting the support of his players and the management on board as well.
Really good contest so far, and as it stands, 1-3 to 3 points. Kieran Cormac's goal separating the teams. Here is Kevin O'Keefe showing out in front. Eyes on the target, dropping just short and claimed by Shea Bowen. A huge clearance downfield, and now the battle can resume between Sam Guilfoyle and John Cashman. And Cashman dealt with it stylishly.
It's very, very competitive so far, Des.
DC trying to get up on his hurl here. And it squirms clear. And Blackrock passing on the baton here for the shot for Kieran Cormac, who brings his tally to 1-1. Patient there. A couple of men who couldn't get the shot away field. They didn't have it in them, and worked it on to the man who could find the target.
Yeah, and there's good work rate all over the field from both sets of forwards. The hooking, the blocking is a feature of the game as well.
Robbie O'Flynn climbing to try and get a touch on that, but it's Blackrock who worked their way forward and right into the back of Kieran Cormac there.
It's also not noticeable that Kieran's brother Cahill, who's playing at wing back, is a Kitog, number 5 in his back, has turned it into the game as well. Des, even though his player Ronan Toomey is breaking even and he has got a score and he's on a bit of ball, but Kieran Cormac, who I suppose hasn't played a whole pile of Cahill Cormac hasn't played a whole pile. He's missing for a few years, but has started for us well now as well.
And the free taking responsibilities falling to Alan Connolly. He's a lovely striker of a ball, and that adds to his personal tally. 3 points now for the teenage number 14. And they often talk, Mark, about the step up between underage hurling and senior hurling. He's making it look easy at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He's very accomplished now, yeah, but he's been identified from a long ways out. He's a very good pedigree. He comes from the Cashman stable, and he would be a very, very good prospect from a Cork perspective.
And for Fergal Ryan, a teammate of yours back in '99, and you know him well, he'd success with Blackrock at under-21 as a manager, and just bringing those players through now.
That's
DC
right.
Showing out well again. He's got out in front of Shane Murphy, and DC grabs another. That's his third of the game,
and that's 1-6 that Tyg DC and Alan Connolly have contributed to the scoreboard of 1-6, and we identified them beforehand that they would be key players for Blackrock today. But going back, I suppose, Des, mentioning Fergal Ryan, I mean, Fergal's a great guy, and we played minor again as well in 1990, and his son Jamie is cornerback today.
And it's heading down in that direction. And Daniel Meany looking to break it down. The Blackrock left half back. It's a good half back line Blackrock are putting out today as well. Here's Owen Murphy. Passes it on to Robbie O'Flynn. Good pressure on him though, and Blackrock realising Robbie O'Flynn had popped a couple of points over in the last few minutes, getting a little bit tighter that time.
Yeah, and I think this is Fergal's second year involved, and they won the Senior Hurling League last year and had played extremely well, but got unstuck with Newtown down in Moraby last year. A bit of a surprise.
Stephen Murphy pops the hand pass to his right hand side, down into the corner. Cormac shows for it again. Off his right hand side. That's going to be tight. That's going to be very tight. Umpire's giving it as wide. We were right behind that one.
We had a good vantage point. I think it looked like it was swinging all the time out to the outside. I don't know, do we have the Hawkeye here today, Des?
It's your eyes we're relying on now. We've reached the water break, but really good contest so far, and Blackrock certainly will be the happier, leading by 1-6 to 3 points.
Yeah, I definitely would be happy with that. Like, I mean, if the first 3 or 4 minutes was extremely competitive, it was up and down, no freeze involved, and then the game started to settle down. I suppose you'd have to say on the Blackrock side, you'd be delighted with the 2 inside lines, and Kevin O'Keefe has been a threat as well. So the 3 boys inside are a significant threat to them. On the Erins own side of things, I suppose Robbie O'Flynn has been good, and Ronan Toomey has been reasonably okay as well. The rest of the forwards probably haven't got into it yet, and the Blackrock defence seem to be well on top, which obviously is giving them a slight advantage. And there seems to be the breeze is slightly with Erins on as well. So I think Blackrock will be the happier the team in the first 15 minutes. And I remember I heard last night, watching the coverage last night, Joe Cunningham was saying that he wasn't in favour of the half-time break, or we say quarters. But I think if you're Erins on at this moment in time, I think you're delighted to be getting a water break. And maybe if you are Blackrock, you're probably a bit disappointed because they're on the ascendancy. But it's actually how the team will deal with the restart is the most important thing here.
Yeah. I always thought as well that when you hit these water breaks, if you're a lad who hasn't had a good opening 20 minutes, normally you might be able to drift away from the manager and you won't be able to hear him out on the pitch, but you'll hear him when you're that close to him.
You will. I actually think this is a very good thing, to be honest with you, because I think there's an awful lot of time goes into preparing teams and stuff like that, and a half an hour, like half your game is over within such a short period of time, and the game does pass people by. So I can see this, I don't know, long term, whether we'll say teams will actually, or whether the GA will look at this and maybe increase the time of we say a senior game to 80 minutes or something like that and have 420s, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it's a good idea.
Now puck out for Shea Bowen, the Erins own goalkeeper, looks out towards that left hand side with that half back line again for Blackrock, as you said, thundering into it. Great take from Cathal Cormac. Ball down into the corner, and DC I think is on it again, and he's showing a clean pair of heels here as a goal opportunity. Good save from Shea Bowen.
Magnificent save, and you would have to give credit to both the forward and the defender there.
Dangerous ball back inside, and the hulking figure of Kieran Cormac gets on it again. Ball back, the bounce misjudged though. Manages to recover and get back on it though. And the free given to Blackrock.
Yeah, I suppose just about Cathal O'Mahony had, I suppose, put the 2 arms around
David O'Farrell
in the middle of the field, and I think Blackrock will be quite happy to get the free on the back of that now, because that was a great goal opportunity, but it was a great save by Shea Bowen in the Erins own goals. We just mentioned about the restarts. I mean, that was a fantastic restart there from Blackrock, and if they got a goal, it would give them a fierce cushion.
Alan Connolly eyeing up another one. You can see the breeze just blowing on his jersey as he steps up to it. Plenty to spare.
And pretty confident as well. Des, he's standing over the ball, and I don't think there's any fear that he's going to miss it.
It's incredible to think that of all their wins, Blackrock, they went from 2009 to 2016 without even reaching a quarter final. That was when the older Browns maybe were retiring, and the younger lads would go on and win those under 21 titles, were trying to come through, or maybe not young enough or not old enough yet to come through. But since those days, it's been a quarter final, a final and a semi-final in the last 3 years. They're back knocking on the door of the Rockies.
Yeah, and I suppose their second team has been very, very successful at intermediate level, winning a number of counties, and they're contesting the third grade in the adult level in Cork at the moment, which was they were the one team that have, I suppose, progressed when there was 10 teams came up from junior to the lower grade intermediate 6 or 7 years ago. That the Blackrock second team has been the big benefactor of that.
And Blackrock running the way out this time. Ball arrowed in towards the centre half forward position. Kevin O'Keefe was the target that time. Now Erins own have turned it over, and Kieran Cormac's got on it again for Blackrock. Works it out to his right hand side. Good defence initially from Cian O'Connor, but the chance remains with Blackrock, and the chance is taken.
Yeah, very, very good work again, and that man centre forward. Kieran Cormac, who wasn't named in the starting 15 days, he's got a goal and a point, and he's been hugely influential on James O'Flynn. And we remarked before the game that James O'Flynn is normally a forward. He's playing centre back for Erins on today, and he's probably starting to question himself now as to what do I have to do as a defender. But he needs to get tight and needs to get on the ball.
Yeah, is that something that Martin Bowen, the Erins own manager, and his selectors start having a look at, we wonder, as the minutes go on? 1-8 Blackrock, 3 points for Erins own. They need a steadying score or two fairly quickly. Nice spin away that time from James O'Flynn. It was a chance to show what he can do now going forward, and with those forward instincts. Lets one go, but left and wide.
A bit unlucky there now, but he did the right thing. He broke onto the ball and he broke through the tackle. Had an opportunity, unfortunately, when left on this occasion.
Gavin Connolly out towards the right half forward position. Hand pass back to John Cashman. Cashman off his left hand side in towards Alan Connolly. Oh, he's on it again. He's away from Cian O'Connor. Bearing down on goal, goes low. He is lighting up this first half, Alan Connolly. A goal and 4 now.
Well, he might be just about to light up the the Premier Senior Hurling Championship, because this is exactly what we have been crying out for, to find a player that can produce something for the inter-county team. Now, I know it's early days, but this boy has been electric since the start of the game. He's only 20 minutes old.
In touch with Blackrock during the week, and the word was Alan Connolly was just one of the best they've seen in recent years at underage level. Now maybe something here for Erins own, and they really could do with a goal. It's Robbie O'Flynn who goes for goal, and it's beaten away by Gavin Connolly. That was a big moment at Erins own, found the back of the net there. It would have been an instant reply to the Alan Connolly goal down the other end, but Gavin Connolly vigilant in goal for the Rockies.
And he's a brother of Alan Connolly, the aforementioned full forward down on the other side.
Oh, here's a chance though. Owen Murphy, and he's been taken down, and that looks a penalty.
Yeah, I think it's a correct decision. It definitely is a penalty. It's a good response from Erins own, because I think, to be fair, Robbie O'Flynn should have carried the ball on another number of steps and made sure of the goal opportunity. It was a good save by Gavin Connolly, but Robbie was on the run at the time and probably could have steadied himself, but he probably should have took it in a bit closer and made sure of the goal. But Blackrock got the opportunity to clear it, haven't done it. Erins own forwards turned it over, and it broke to the Bear Murphy inside. He took on the goalkeeper and the defender and was pulled down, and probably does warrant a penalty at this stage. And if you're in the Erins own camp right now, you really need to get this goal, because the game is starting to slip away from them. 2-8 to 3 points down, and I suppose this should be probably lucky. The Erins own defenders, probably the full back line, need to, I suppose, maybe renegotiate, maybe put Shane Murphy in on Alan Connolly, because Shane is a very, very good defender, and he had a very good start to the game. But the big threat that's being carried is actually the full forward for Blackrock. And
a reminder, Bishopstown and Newtown Shandrum, the other two in this group, they play tomorrow, so they'll have a keen interest in what's going on here today. But this is a massive moment for Erins own, and they need Owen Bear Murphy to stand up and convert this one. 222 in 3 games in the championship last year.
An unusual step now. Okay, this is the first time I've seen it, that you have a player that's only maybe taking a one step, I'd say, to a penalty. Haven't seen this yet in the last number of years.
Oh, it's been saved.
I think that kind of sums up the Erins own day so far now today, Des, because they really needed that goal, and Gavin Connolly made the full stretch. But the one step stand up, I think there wasn't a whole pile of power behind it.
No. That's a bitter blow for Erins own, who needed that score to get back into it. They might still leave it a point, as Owen Murphy has come out to take this 65. Lit it up in the back-to-back title wins of 06 and 07. Scored 110 in the 06 final against Cloyne as a teenager. But maybe the penalty miss has just got inside his head there, because he's put the 65 to the right and wide, and this first half just isn't going the way Erins own would have wanted it to.
Yeah, and there are a couple of key things now. They've got 0 out of the return. Robbie O'Flynn got the opportunity to get the goal first. Then they got a penalty. They've missed the penalty, and they've failed to convert the 65. And I mean, that is really soul destroying now from a team and the management's point of view, and all the lads involved with the team. So it's all one-way traffic, I suppose, at this moment in time, after having a very, very even first 5 or 10 minutes.
Couple of switches here. We're just looking at Cathal Lenihan wearing 14 for Erins own. Seems to have come out to the right half forward position. And Robbie O'Flynn drifting a little further in, though he's wandering back out again now. Cathal Cormac sends it down towards DC. Real danger man, DC, and he's been on song so far, and off he goes again. Cian O'Connor having a real difficulty with him. DC goes low. Another goal chance for Blackrock. Another one repelled by some last ditch Erins own defending.
Yeah, great save by Cormac Dooley. There were shades of Noel Hickey throwing himself across Owen Kelly a number of years ago and getting a belt. But if they got another goal there, you'll be saying that the game was nearly over as a contest.
Yeah, they've got a couple. They came close to adding another couple to that since Blackrock. They look in the mood. Back in by Cormac. DC looking for a little touch. Well read by Shea Bowen though. Bided his time. Waited for that touch and dealt with it well. Lennon coming out to meet it. Sees it sail over his head though, and now it's David O'Farrell. Nice turn from Kevin O'Keefe. The pass then just not quite linking up with Cathal Cormac, I think it was.
No, but I suppose it does show you the urgency from an Erins own perspective is that they've moved Robbie O'Flynn into the full forward line, and it looks like they've probably given him a roving role at this stage, like in corner forward. But look, go and find the ball wherever you can get it.
And Robbie O'Flynn sends over his third point of the evening. 10-point deficit though that Erins own are looking at. Nice ball arrowed to John Cashman. Miss hits his ball into the forward line though. Shane Murphy bottled up, closed down. Blackrock forwards working hard, and Alan Connolly in the thick of it. It's a green and gold jersey that emerges with it. Mark O'Keefe. Oh, it's drifting in. Just not drifting enough. Blackrock claiming a 65.
I do now, to be fair. I would be in support of that, to be fair. It definitely got a tip off of the hurley of the cornerback. I think Shane Murphy there. Now the umpire was a bit unsure, but he's put up his hand at this stage. And good communication there from Cormac. Cormac Duggan here is on the line here, and his umpires, Kieran's umpire inside, and that's only rightly so. It is because look, players are putting an awful lot of time and effort into it, and the umpires and the referees, their duties is to get it right on the day. Like.
So 65 belatedly given. Alan Connolly coming out to take it. 1-4 already.
And there's a fresh breeze actually blowing into his face here as well.
Didn't catch that one as cleanly. And Shea Bowen, who's been safe and secure in that net for Erins own, grabs another one and sends it in towards the centre of the field. Pulled on first time. Robbie O'Flynn, low ball. Coming looking for goals now, perhaps Erins own. Well held, and back to Robbie O'Flynn again. Here's an opportunity. Pressure came from Cashman as he stepped out to meet him to ensure there wasn't a goal chance, so he'll have to content himself with the point, Robbie O'Flynn, but better that from Erins own.
Yeah, and a good start. Even though Erins own are struggling in a lot of positions, Robbie O'Flynn is playing very well. The 5 points scored, and Robbie's got forward in play and possibly should have had a goal, so he's making a big contribution for Erins own today.
Cormac wrestling with Shane Murphy. Free kick goes the way of Erins own. Pull on the jersey. Just considering the chance of taking that quickly, Robbie O'Flynn, but he'll leave it for Owen Murphy to come out and have a look at it.
And I suppose if you look at it as if Robbie's goal opportunity went in or the penalty was scored, it would be 2-8 to 1-5. It wouldn't be so bad, but there's a sparse look on the scoreline when it's 2-8 to 5 points, I suppose. And I suppose Erins own will need to get as many scores as possible on the board before half time.
Owen Murphy doesn't have the distance, but it's touched in. And that's a big score. It's Morris O'Carroll, I think, might have got the final touch on that one. Massive goal that for Erins own.
Yeah, that's a massive score just before half time. It's exactly what Erins own need going into the break to try and give them some opportunity for the second half.
Yeah, we're in the 30th minute. 2-8 now to Blackrock, 1-5 to Erins own. Well, that sparked them into life now. Have to keep a tight rein on these Blackrock forwards who look so dangerous today. Good angle ball dropping into the goal scorer, Morris O'Carroll. Mossy is the shout, he gets turned. The goalkeeper keeps his eye. Well, it was neither here nor there in the end. It was either a ball in towards Sam Guilfoyle or an effort at a point. It fell between two stools from Morris O'Carroll.
Yeah, and it was an opportunity that they needed to build on the goal that they had previously got. It probably would have been better off if he took on the man and steadied himself and try and get the score. The last thing they wanted was a ball dribbling out wide.
If they are to be behind going into half time, at least they'll want to have that momentum going into it to tack on the last few scores. Robbie O'Flynn on another one that just is a little bit too far for Morris O'Carroll this time. 2
in a row now, and they went wide on the same side, and both of them bobbled out over the line. They'll be very, very disappointed with that. But Robbie O'Flynn is getting on the ball, and he is bringing the fight to Blackrock at this moment in time.
John Cashman Good looking ball that, right into the right corner forward position. Alan Connolly right over to the far sideline. Has managed to keep the ball in play. And they found it hard to handle him today at the Erins own defence, but they managed to do so that time.
Yeah, good defending there by Cormac Dooley. He didn't dive in. He gave him the opportunity to pick it up. He didn't get it first time, and he got into hook, got into a bit of a flick, and he won it. Then he aggressively took him away off the ball and then won it himself, and he's won it free.
Oh, can Erins own make use of this ball? Squirmed out of the attentions of Sam Guilfoyle. Blackrock with 3 men around the Erins own man in possession. And the numbers win out in the end. Here's a ball towards Kieran Cormac, who took it beautifully. First time ball, knowing DC might be on the move on that far side. He'll have to go some to keep it in play. He's got there, Ty DC. Dual operator, plays football with St. Michael's as well. A good win last week. Long ball sent downfield by James O'Carroll. And Blackrock again with the numbers. And coming away with it this time is Richie Lade, one of the intermediate winners at county level last year.
And what has happened in the last number of minutes there now is that Kevin O'Keefe has come out from corner forward and playing as a second centre forward, and Blackrock are just playing 2 on the inside line, Alan Connolly and Ty Deasy.
And that's a foul, and that should be a straightforward point on the way for Erin's own. Should mention as well, they're down a few as well today. Mark Collins, who picked up a hamstring injury when training resumed. Keane O'Callaghan's out, and Killian Murphy, one of the Murphys, the other set of Murphy brothers, isn't available to play.
And Killian is a big loss because he would have been involved with Cork for a number of years as a cornerback and would be a very diligent player, would always mind himself. But it has been a feature of an awful lot of club games days since the restart, because I suppose players were stopped for maybe 3 months and then they started back up, and you're always going to get niggling injuries because players are trying to go at 100% and they might be fully fit.
So that's it, that takes us to half time, and from an Erin's own point of view, Mark, an important rally there towards the end.
Yeah, very, very, very important, because the game was starting to go away from it. Was 2-8 to 5 points just 2 minutes before half time, and I suppose from that point of view, like I suppose Blackrock was starting to get away from it. Now Shea Bowen has I suppose made a couple of very, very important saves as well, and has probably kept there in the game. But I suppose in the overall context of things, you'd have to say that Blackrock are slightly the sharper team, but most of that is down to the 2 lads in the full forward line. Both Alan Connolly and Tyke DC have been excellent between them. I think they have, the bones of, I think probably
1-7 out of the 2-8. I think they have between them.
That's very impressive. From any management's point of view, they'd be delighted with the 2 lads. But a lot of it has got to do with the quality of ball that's going in front of them as well, and they look sharp and they look, their touch is good.
We were chatting before we came on about this county championship, what Kieran Kingston and the various people he'd have dotted around the various championship games would be looking for. Would there be anyone who might make a little breakthrough or might make an impression this year? And while he's only 19, Alan Connolly, you can only but have been impressed by what he produced in that first half. Whatever his career ends up doing, certainly the early stages, he was well touted at Blackrock, and he's shown he can deliver today.
Yeah, I think a lot of the qualities that you're looking for out of an inter-county player is that A, I suppose that you have a good attitude, B, that you're preparing well for your matches, and then I suppose C is that you're able to perform when you're asked to perform. And what we're seeing there today is a lad, he's very, very young still, but like he's out in front of his man, he's a good touch, he's prepared to take on his man at every opportunity, and he seems to be very, very competent both off his left and off his right. And as a forward, I think that is one of the things, particularly at intercounty level, that you are able to go onto your left foot or your right foot and be able to strike from both sides. So, and he also possesses a nice bit of pace as well. You'd often, I look at Patrick Curran down in Waterford from Dungarvan, beautiful striker of the ball, but he's just short that small little bit of pace that you need. And intercounty has gone so fast. I suppose you need pace at this level now. And but he is at this moment of time, after a half an hour hurling, he has been, I suppose, the standout player. no, and to be fair to Tyke DC, a different type of player.
Yeah, we don't want to put too much on Alan Connolly. It's one half of a senior championship game, but you can see that the talent is there. And Ty Deasy, as you said, is a dual player with them. Started really well and looks very sharp out there.
Yeah, and he's abrasive. Like he's a little bit different to Alan, who's a slighter lad. But Ty, has shown an awful lot of the qualities that you're looking for as well. And particularly when you're playing in the full forward line, you want your man to be in there with a first touch, a good first touch, and be prepared to take on his men. I think, sometimes, fellas go down looking for frees in the full forward line. If you're looking for frees inside the full forward line, you're better off to be playing out the field, because like in there you expect your lads to be tough, to be brave, and those two lads, along with Kevin O'Keefe now, has looked sharp as well, and a lot of this has got to do with the quality of ball that they're getting in from out the field. So, Kieran Cormac playing at right half back has been very, very solid for Blackrock, both in the air and on the ground, and John Cashman has been pretty good as well. So there's quality ball coming in from the half-back line as well. Yeah,
a couple of changes made ahead of the game. Now, we knew Michael O'Halloran wasn't going to play for Blackrock with that ankle injury. When they'll have him back, we're not entirely sure, but Kieran Cormac coming in, he's got 1-1 I think in the first half, got the goal that set them on their way. But he caught your eye early on. He's a physical presence, but he uses himself well.
He does, and he was in the right place at the right time, and like all forwards and all coaches will tell you that, like, if you have a forward that's following up in a play, like, because the goal he got came from an opportunity that was saved first, but he was quickest to the rebound. A number of years ago, I think it's 3 years ago, Emmet Kelly played Blackrock in the county final, and he got an opportunity for a goal that day and threw it up in the square and missed it, and it was at a key moment at that time, and once it cost Blackrock the count, but like Blackrock were looking for impetus at the time, and the opportunity he failed to convert it. But here he is now, a number of years later now, and he's got a very, very important goal for Blackrock today. And there are a number of players, those two, Kevin O'Keefe and young Cormac, weren't selected to play, and they have been very, very impressive so far.
What about from an Erins own point of view? The first 5 minutes was good. They were getting on the ball, they just weren't taking their scores. Then they shipped the goal and they fall behind, and maybe a little knock to the confidence, and you wonder how they're going to respond. That last few minutes were very important, and certainly we saw Robbie O'Flynn. You mentioned when it wasn't coming his way, he went looking for it, took a few scores, maybe left a few behind him as well, but definitely an influence.
Yeah, and like the first, I suppose, 5 minutes of the game was very, very competitive. There wasn't a free conceded on either side, and it was played up and down in a very sporting fashion. But I think slowly but surely Blackrock started to grab a hold on it, and Erins own, I suppose, were struggling to get scores up front, and I suppose it's a little bit lopsided in one respect that they have, I suppose, up to 28 minutes of the game they had 5 points scored. 4 of them were scored by Robbie O'Flynn, and they were all good scores. 4 of them were got from play, but like, he probably should have converted the goal opportunity, should have took it on another couple of steps and made sure of it. They didn't, I suppose, convert the penalty and convert the 65, and I know I'm repeating myself, but in terms of analysing the game, they need to get all those opportunities to get a result here today.
Maurice O'Carroll, he's not got on much ball really in defence, but what he has gone on, he's looked good, and it was a lovely little flick for the goal.
It was, absolutely, and I think there's a long range free that came in from Owen Murphy, a dangerous ball around the square, and I go back ago when Emmet Kelly were trying to make the breakthrough here. They were 2 points up in here in Park Arena, not at the other side of the field, and I suppose we say Fergal Condon and his mentals at that moment in time, and I don't know was O'Cal got a flick on the ball, but there was about 30 players inside the square. The only fellow who hadn't made up the field was Shea Bone at the time, but the ball ended up in the net, and that shows you the ability of Erins own. And I think if I go back a couple of years ago, I think Erins own and Klein played, and it was Fergus Murphy got a goal. He got on an end of a ball, a long free into the square. He followed in, kept his eye on it, and he got a flick on the ball into the back of the net, and that had a big influence on that county final. Now I'm going back a long time there, but it is great for any forward always following the ball, because the pressure is on the backs when the ball is landing inside in the square. Anyone gets a little bit of a tip in the ball, it's going to end up in the back of the net.
On the way here, so as we can see, this will be the 30 minutes or so mark now that will test the work that has been done. It will test the challenge games. Will only take you so far maybe. Yeah, but this is championship hurling now, and we'll see whose legs are stronger down the stretch.
Yeah, well, I suppose you'd have to say that there's a nice fresh breeze here as well today now, and like Blackrock are certainly in the driving seat. 5 points up at half time. The first 3 or 4 minutes of the second half now, if Erins own are to get back into it, they'll need to get back into it immediately.
And sub on the pitch, we can see wearing number 20, it's Stephen Horgan for Erins Own, has come on at half time. He's gone into midfield. And also on is the number 19, Kieran Hero Murphy. So we're wondering in the first half when things weren't exactly going to plan if we would see him, and we do right at the start of the second half. No unmistakable figure with the black helmet there. And he's chasing back at the moment, but Blackrock work it in towards Kieran Cormac, who's allowed to get turned and get his head up and pick his pass. It's in towards DC, who's out in front again. Just couldn't quite get the ball onto his stick that time, and Cormac Dooley comes away with it for Erins Own. Needs some support, has it there. It's a foul anyway. And Erins Own on with it quickly. And Hero Murphy sends it into that full forward line to the goal scorer, Maurice O'Carroll, who's away from his man. There was a little touch on that. And the goalkeeper making doubly sure, but Kieran Murphy already making his presence felt.
He is, yeah, and there's probably a big, we mentioned it before the game that he hadn't got the nod to start today. But a quick free into the square. Massey Carl did very well to actually to win it, and a great save inside as well. Now, I suppose one worry, from Blackrock point of view, is that the goalkeeper is down. He was down injured in the first half, and he's down injured again straight after half time. Yeah,
that's Gavin Connolly. It's an intriguing one. Kieran Hero Murphy's 37 now. He played in goal in the championship last year. But I was talking to Martin Bowen during the week, and I asked him would that be the case again, or would Shea be back? And Shea, Martin's son, is back in goal, and he's done very well today. So Kieran Murphy with an outfield role.
Yeah, Shea Bowen has handled an awful lot of ball, does as well. And I suppose if you're an on-zone person, the less your goalkeeper sees the ball, the better, because it means that there's an awful lot of ball coming in to their defence. But his handling has been excellent, and his striking has been good, and he's made a number of critical saves as well.
First few scores of the second half really important now, particularly from an Erins Own point of view. And Owen Murphy, the brother of Kieran Hero Murphy, it's the Bears standing over it. Clean contact. And he was confident of that one as soon as it left his stick.
Yeah, and a very important score now for Erins Own. And like you could say, like the 2-8 to 1-7, like definitely the game is within striking distance for Erins Own. They just need to up it and keep the revs up now at this stage.
It's just a couple of points for Owen Murphy so far, but it does edge them just that little bit closer to Blackrock, and they get on the ball again. Murphy looking to pull on it first time. Big shout from the Blackrock subs who are away to our left hand side in the stand. Felt that was a little bit aggressive. And this from right over on the sideline, and it's just gone wide. That's a
score from Stephen Murphy.
What a point that is from Stephen Murphy.
Yeah, and I suppose to be fair to the referee there, he didn't blow. The two lads had come out to the ball flat on the cornerback from Blackrock, Richie Lade, and the Bear Murphy, and he let go first time, and look, there was no real harm, to be honest with it.
Richie Lade is down, just receiving some attention at the minute. That's the cause for the delay in the game.
He didn't complain, and to be fair, he got on with the game, and great. The ball was cleared up here, and Stephen Murphy won a great ball, and right out in the sideline has delivered a great point for Blackrock. But it looks as though he's injured, whether he's a cutter in his leg or something like that, but I'd say he'd be tough enough. He'll get up and he'll get on with it.
Yeah, he's a sturdy and a tigerish cornerback. He's giving away a couple of kilos and a couple of inches to Owen Murphy there, but he's sticking to his man marking task.
This is the Premier Senior Hurling. It is the top grade in Cork, and no harm at all in that.
Shea Bowen gets plenty on that, lands it into his half forward line where Hero Murphy rises for it. Breaking ball favours Erins Own. Lovely turn and spin away by James O'Carroll, but the pass was a little bit wayward, and John Cashman come out with it for Blackrock. Nudges it further on over towards that left hand side. The race is on now. Erins Own man gets there first, and that's Cathal O'Mahony.
Good
space over on this near side here for Kieran Cormac. Lovely little touch inside, and off goes Callan again. He's been blocked illegally, says the referee, Alan Connolly.
Yeah, a bit lucky Des there now, I think, because the opportunity had gone past him. I think he was in between minds as to whether to put the head down and keep going or knock it over the bar. Like Blackrock have probably gone 8 or 9 minutes without a score. Only one score, I suppose, in the last 8 or 9 minutes, and the ascendancy has been to Erins zone. So, like maybe it's a good sign of a lad that he did consider, would I go for the goal or knock it over. So they've got an opportunity here now that possibly, I think, they're lucky to get the free.
And the point you fancy is on the way, which would restore a 6-point lead for the 32-time county champions.
Yeah, that should settle. That'll settle them down. The score is going to back out to 6 points now.
Shea Bowen favouring this near side again. Hero Murphy bats it down. Down into the corner. That's the ball looking for Owen Murphy on this wonderfully manicured surface here at Páirc Uí Rinn this evening. And Owen Murphy doing his best to get this ball in his stick. He's outnumbered 2-1 though, and Lade is in there. He's not been too far away from it at any point this evening.
Yeah. Good battling there on both sides there now. Young Lade had done very well, but the Erins zone forwards had equally done well to battle him up.
Tried to take the quick sideline, doesn't work out for Owen Murphy though. Hand pass popped on by Stephen Murphy. Now Blackrock can start looking forward. 3 men inside to aim for, but it's only landed in the hands of an Erins zone man, Cormac Dooley, and then sent into the right corner forward position. Morris O'Carroll looking for it. Can't secure the ball though. And a little bit of afters over there.
A bit of overcarrying, I think, is what the referee has given the free for there now. And there was it seemed like a good decision. The corner forward and corner back had gone to the ball, but both were holding onto each other's hurleys, and he hadn't allowed anything he hadn't allowed a free for either side. But now I think there's an important free here now for the Erins zone for Owen Murphy. But the other side of it is that Cian Murphy has had a big influence in the game. Just getting the blood boiling, I'd say, from an Erins zone perspective. The other thing is that we're seeing here is that Shane Murphy is probably sitting back in the pocket a little bit as well. So, there could be a bit of tactics going on at the moment now on both sides of the field.
Tight angle for Owen Murphy. Makes light of it though. Beautifully struck. And they continue to chip away at this Blackrock lead, Erins zone. Erins zone, who lost in round 1 after extra time against a very good Charleville team last year, and went on to lose in round 2 against Kanturk. Very disappointing championship year it was for them. Sub in for Erins zone, wearing 25, that's Stephen Cronin. Picked up by Ty Deasy. Gets his shot away, and that's gone left and wide.
Yeah, and the game is slightly in the melting pot days at this moment in time now, because a ball that Tyke should have probably won first time in his hand and dropped it, and he put pressure on himself and he struck it wide now. There was a lot of fluency in the first half for Blackrock, but starting to struggle a little bit the last 5 minutes in the first half. They started to struggle since then.
Brilliant take from Hero Murphy. Will it lead to a score though for Erins zone? They need to try and find some space to get a shot away. Cathal Lenihan bottled up. And Blackrock again with the numbers and managed to come away with it. David O'Farrell pops the hand pass out to his left hand side. Diagonal ball all the way across towards Alan Connolly. The little step off his left hand side buys him a yard of space, but this one has also gone left and wide, and just the wide tally is starting to rack up a little bit now from a Blackrock point of view.
Yeah, and there's 2 opportunities now that both Alan and Alan Connolly and Tyke Deasy, you would have expected them in their first half form to strike him over the bar. And just a little bit nervous now. Just that nervous tension is in the Blackrock players at this moment in time. And the game is very much in the melting pot now. With 8 minutes, nearly 9 minutes gone in the second half. There's only been a couple of points on both sides, so it is very, very competitive. But it is nervous hurling at the moment.
I'll drop in the half forward line. Good strong work, little ball popped into the full forward line. Here's Owen Murphy, who's managed to get turned away from Lade. And now the referee is going to bring it back. When Owen Murphy looked to be in a great position, he turned his man, he was heading goalwards.
He did Des, but I think the time, we've a good view of it now. His hand was up all the time when the ball went into Owen Murphy, and he had just actually broke through, and he possibly could have left it go. But like, you're in a no-win situation here as a referee, because he still had another defender in front of him. If they got the goal out of it, okay, it was fantastic play. If they didn't get a goal, then you were shouting, why didn't you take the free? So these are the hard decisions that referees have to make. And I think, look, if Owen taps the ball over the bar here, they'll still move on with it, and they'll be happy enough.
Owen Murphy, low trajectory on this one, but enough to carry it over the crossbar of Gavin Connolly. That takes Owen Murphy, I think, Mark, you might double check for me, he's on to 4 points now, I think, Owen Murphy.
That's right, yeah. And more importantly, I suppose the game is back to 4 points again, because it had one stage in the first half, it was 9 points.
Can they dig this one out? Erins own, they've still got plenty of time. If they can stay vigilant at the back and keep tabs on these Blackrock forwards, they'll give themselves a shot at it. David O'Farrell. Well, it's one of those. Cathal O'Mahony is a tall guy. And was David O'Farrell ducking into it a little bit, looking for it? You don't know.
There's a couple of decisions though have gone both ways for teams. David Farrell, he seemed to be leaning in and slightly over carrying the ball, and then got a bump at the same time. But I'd have to say in the overall context that the referee Kieran Regan has done a very, very fair job today. And you're never going to get all the decisions 100% right, but in general he has been pretty good and pretty fair, and that's all you want from a referee.
Other game going on at the moment down in Mallow, Douglas and Ballyhay. We'll see if we can get a latest on that for you and bring it to you. That's those two in the group, along with Middleton and Sarsfields.
Big win last night for Sarsfields. They made a good statement, and as an overall game, it was a high quality game. 217 to 117. Conor Lahan was excellent, getting 8 points last night. But the overall for the first match of the Senior Hurling Championship, it was excellent.
Two sides will certainly fancy themselves as having a real crack at Achilles title this year. Alan Connolly, he's found his range again.
Yeah,
and takes him on to 1-6.
And it's an important score for his own confidence, Des, as well. Back in the game now, having missed an opportunity from a point from play previously.
Every breaking ball, an important one now. It's the Rockies who've got on this one. Lovely little low pass driven into the ground. That's a wasted opportunity, though. There was a chance to drop it into Kieran Cormack, who had stayed in there after Alan Connolly had come out to take the free, and that's where he remains at the moment. Cormack has gone into the full forward line. Alan Connolly, whether that's a permanent change, we'll wait and see. I think in the 11 position at the minute.
I think more often than not, when Alan Connolly takes a free, he comes out the field, and then young Kieran Cormack goes into the full forward position, and then they wait for the puck out to be taken before they swap.
Well, they haven't changed back yet. We'll keep an eye on that one. That's misplaced. Here's an opportunity for the substitute Stephen Cronin. Dangerous looking ball in. Blackrock managed to repel the first moment of danger. And a wasted ball as they look to find some space on that far side. It's been picked up here by Mark O'Keefe, who looks to set sail, track back, and challenged by Robbie O'Flynn. Beaten down on the hurl, important that second touch. Two Blackrock men around him, that it was a secure and confident touch from Cian O'Connor.
A lot of the fluency that we saw in the first 25 minutes of the game from Blackrock seems to have left them slightly. There's a lot of nervousness in their play, and they just need to get back into the game now and get a couple of quality balls into their forwards.
It's a lovely piece of defending from Richie Lade. Took it, turned away from his man, found John Cashman. Cashman's ball, though, couldn't hit one of his forwards. And there's Shea Bowen given a lot of work to do. And that's gone out of play, an unforced error from Cormac Dooley.
I don't think Shea will appreciate it too much to be given a 50 or 60 metre sprint across the field for a ball that went over his head. But this is magic. These are the mistakes that happen, during the course of championship matches when fellas are very, they're up to 90. Everything is going into this game at this moment in time, and look, mistakes do happen.
Do the goalkeepers not do the same running as the outfielders now in training? No.
Well, some keepers would, but other fellas like to take. I'll take the shots. I'll take the stoppers tonight. So
here's Hero Murphy, a lovely ball to a completely unmarked James O'Carroll, who
big
sets
score.
His sights on the target and finds the point. Well worked score that. But again, the influence of Kieran Hero Murphy.
I think he's made a big difference in this game so far. And Stephen Cronin has come on at left half back as well. He's a very experienced player. Erins have a lot of size now. They're a very big physical team, and I suppose Alan Bowen now, who the Killa Junior Hurlers will be delighted to see he's actually after coming on, because he would have been one of their main forwards for the Junior Championship on Sunday.
And he's replacing Cathal Lenihan, the youngster who didn't see much ball at all today. It's well taken. And Shane O'Keefe, and here's an opportunity for David O'Farrell. Umpire took his time with that one and decides it's good.
Yeah, but initially there was a great win out of number 12 Shane O'Keefe here, and he had been battled up. Some referees would give it for overcarrying, but he did fierce well to catch the ball, and he laid it on in a great finish.
A stalemate in the half forward line. The referee might have to blow this one up unless someone emerges from that ruck with it. And there's an Erins own man who has it. He's got 4 Blackrock men on his back. And Stephen Horgan earns his side the free. Hard one.
Hard one, but the game is very, and the second, I think a lot of both teams will actually want to get to the water break days now at this stage. I'd say from a Blackrock perspective, they'd be hoping to grab hold of the game. They haven't grabbed hold of it. They've only 4 points scored in the last 20 minutes of the game. They had 2-8 scored in the previous 20-25 minutes. So I think Blackrock are slightly nervous at this moment in time. But I think there's great determination and heart being produced by Erins Own, who actually have got back into the game. And 4 points is nothing. A goal, if Erins Own got another goal, this game is back in the melting pot. And no better team. I've seen it down through the years with Erins Own, that they will keep going to the end. And any team that is trained and managed by Martin Bowen, he will get 100% from this team. Yeah,
Martin Bowen back for his third spell. He was the manager in 06 when we mentioned Owen Murphy scored 110 in the final. Of course, Brian Corcoran was also in that team, one of the all-time greats, Brian Corcoran, who was there when they were winning those titles. Martin Bowen there in 2016 as well, when they were pipped by the Glen in the final. He's got Donal O'Rourke, I think, in there with him as well.
Yeah, he was
on the management team.
I think he was training the Waterford Camogie team last year, and Martin and PJ Murphy has been involved with Erins Own for years as well. And you mentioned Brian Corcoran. Brian Corcoran, Timmy Kelleher, the two Dylans, John and Coleman, great servants for Peter Kelly, great servants for Erins Own down through the years. And you go back to that breakthrough win they had in the 90s, both Brian and Timmy Kelleher were outstanding. Brian was only a kid; he was only, I think, 19 years of age at the time. But I suppose it's about the new generation now, new players, and a great credit to Erins Own, because even amongst their own club, they'd know themselves that they wouldn't have been, I suppose, contesting a lot of the underage, the Premier 1 competitions for the last number of years, where Blackrock would have been contesting all Premier 1 at minor, under 16 and under 21. But it's a great trial of Erins Own to be as competitive as they are at the moment, with the lack of underage success they've had for the last decade.
Yeah, both teams have dealt well with the lack of spectators here today. It's always worth mentioning. It's a first experience doing a game like this without the crowd. We've got the Blackrock contingent down to our left hand side who are making themselves heard. But talking to Tom Ahern, the chairman of Erins Own, yesterday, he said he gave his ticket over to and a few others did as well, to 4 men who go and have been watching training at Erins Own for 10 years. That's what they decided to do with their tickets.
Yeah.
A noble gesture, as this one is played away by Cormac Dooley. Kieran Hero Murphy trying to get on it again. Just his presence alone has made a difference. As you said, he's rattled a few cages out there in the second half as well. He's got Erins Own playing.
And he's moving the ball. This is what he wants. He wants to get on the ball, get the ball moving faster. He's not allowing the Blackrock defenders to reset and to get a clamp on his own forwards. But just mentioning the ticket says it's an all-win situation for the club at the moment, because you can't keep everybody happy between sponsors and parents and people who loyal club people who want to go to the match.
Blackrock coming away with it. Excellent work again by Richie Lade. And that's a huge effort from an awful long way out, and it's gone left and wide.
Yeah, look.
You might be able to hear the shout from the left from the Blackrock crowd saying they were convinced it was over the bar.
Yeah, Blackrock have hit a lot of wides now, and again we're back into the restart straight after the water break to see what's going to happen, how our team's going to deal with it.
Shane O'Keefe, improvised hand pass over his head, but to no one in particular, and that one's picked up by James O'Flynn, who's had a a more steady second half, certainly not been as troubled with Kieran Cormac moving into the full forward position for Blackrock. That block squirms away. Here's a chance, goes low, goes for goal and in! Off the post and in.
Well, there you
it's
have
Alan
it now.
Bowen, the man you mentioned earlier.
We mentioned a while ago, you know, a goal at this stage, and we'd mentioned, you know, that Blackrock were very nervy, and like, you know, what has happened is that Kieran Cormac has gone to full forward. He had a big influence on the game at centre forward in the first half. Kevin O'Keefe has come to centre forward, and both of them have struggled. Now they're bringing Alan Connolly out into the play, into the centre forward position. So big changes in the Blackrock team.
And Alan Bowen, might have been his first time on the ball there. It was a lovely goal. Couldn't have been any more accurate, in off the butt of the upright. Gave Gavin Connolly no chance. And it's a 1-point game, and Blackrock will be wondering, certainly based on their first half performance, how it is that close here. But this dogged spirit shown by Erins' own. Real fight in the second half. The introduction, as we said, of Kieran Hero Murphy, Alan Bowen having his moment there, Stephen Horgan, Stephen Cronin, all making impacts, coming in having not been named in the starting 15. And this one is very much up for grabs, as it was here last night between SARS and Middleton. Which side can finish the stronger here? That's an ambitious effort from over on that far side. That's another wide for Blackrock.
Yeah, the game is certainly in the melting pot now, because, you know, I think Blackrock have had 7 attacks now in the second half, and they've hit 5 wides from very scoreable positions. There's
and notable that Kieran Cormac, one of the stars of the first half for Blackrock, is now off the pitch. Substituted by Fergal Ryan. Here's an opportunity. Robbie O'Flynn breaking clear, using that pace to good effect. Awkward one for the goalkeeper, but he's managed to deal with it. And Gavin Connolly gets it away. John Cashman. Time to have a little look down into the corner towards DC. Good hurl in from Cian O'Connor just to push him back in the opposite direction. Still managing to hold him up. Lovely step by DC. Did he throw it though? Aaron's own feeling that was a foul on the ball by DC. And there could be real punishment at the end of it. That is gone.
Another fantastic
left
save by Shabone.
Oh, it saved it, hasn't it?
A save. But I mean, again, a bit like Robbie Flynn in the first half, Mark O'Keefe should have probably taken it on another couple of steps. It was a great opportunity. It was only I suppose we were given out that Tyke Deasy, when he rounded his man, seemed as if he threw the ball out in front of him and kept playing. But, you know, again, maybe Mark O'Keefe may have been better off to tap the ball over the bar and take the point opportunity. But there's been a big swing around and a great attitude shown by Erins' own to get back into the game. You know, this is going to test the Blackrock team now as well. Like, you know, that like from being in a very, very good position of being 8 to 5 points up at one stage and hurling very, very comfortable and turning to play with the wind in the second half. They have certainly gone out of the game, but it's going to be a big trial of them now to get back into the game.
And as we said before the game, Mark, you can play all the challenge games you want, but in this most unprecedented and unusual year for teams to try and get back into the rhythm of things, no one knows exactly who's going to be where now until the final stretch of these games, and it's looking a bit perilous at the moment for Blackrock. They were well out in front and looking good, but Erins' own have come racing and roaring back at them.
They have come back into it, and you know, a couple of experienced players, you know, coming on at half time, and you know, and Kieran Murphy and Stephen Cronin being introduced in the middle of the second half. But and the vice versa has happened on the Blackrock side, because they started Kieran Cormac and Kevin O'Keefe, and both of them have been replaced now. Young John O'Sullivan who's a very, very good prospect for Blackrock, has come on as well. You know, Blackrock are introducing people that can score at this moment in time.
A little bit of pace as well with John O'Sullivan coming on.
A bit of pace, yes, but they certainly will need to get one. Like, they need to get a point or two now just to settle them down again. You know, they've gone totally out of the game. But it's a time for cool heads now, and no better fellas than Fergal Ryan and John Brown on the sideline to steady them.
And that's a real settler from Alan Connolly. 1-7 now for the 19-year-old, and they needed that score, Blackrock.
And that's good for his confidence as well now, Des. He just needs to get back into the game now.
Bishopstown, Newtown, Shandrum, the other two in this group, and they face off tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be down in Riverstick for the Premier Intermediate Hurling Championship meeting, and a real spicy local affair on offer between Valley Rovers and Ballinhassig. I'll have Ger Cunningham alongside me. We throw in at 2 o'clock there, so we'll be on 5 or 10 minutes beforehand. Do join us for that if you can. But we've not been disappointed today. It's a 2-point game. We have played almost 54 minutes now as I look away at the scoreboard away to my right hand side. Maybe a little few minutes to be added onto that.
Yeah, it does. And there's a lot of local derbies actually this weekend. There's, because you have Corsi Rovers and Carrigaline, and you also have Inniscarra and Blarney. They'd be very two attractive games as well on the local scene. And obviously the Glen and the Bars tonight.
And Owen Murphy has put that one right and wide.
Yeah.
And that could be a big moment yet.
Well, 6 minutes left on the clock now to bring it back to a point. That'll be a big score for Erins on. But I mean, it's nervous times, and you know, we mentioned before the game that we don't know how teams are going to be for the first round because of the lockdown.
Every ball an important one now. Every ball chase. And look at Erins own here, 3 men after the one ball, showing the hunger. Hero Murphy in towards Robbie O'Flynn. Broken down. John Cashman managed to get a little nudge in it. Robbie O'Flynn gets on it again though for Erins own. Oh, he's overcooked the pass, and it was on to a completely unmarked Owen Murphy, who does manage to get on it now, but well out the pitch, almost right in the centre of the field. Hero Murphy gets on it again. This one's going to drop short. Looking for a little touch. Got a goal from a moment like that in the first half through Morris O'Carroll, but nothing doing for Erins own that time, and Blackrock can come away with it.
Yeah, Cathal Cormac did very well to get the ball out to Daniel Meany there and a long clearance.
And here's an opportunity. Sullivan just into the game, and he's thrown that one.
Yeah, probably threw it all right now, but great defending by the Erins own defenders that they battled them up and legitimately stopped them going forward and forced them to turn around and release the ball.
There was a 3-point difference in the game last night, just 2 points in it here as we head into the closing stages at Páirc Uí Rinn. James O'Flynn will test the Blackrock full back line. Who's going to emerge with this one? Lade is in there, but it's not Lade who plays it away.
Daniel Meany, great clearance again.
Oh, a lovely little pass over the shoulder that from Cathal O'Mahony. Chasing a second point of the game here is James O'Carroll, and he's found it. He's popped up in some very good attacking positions in this second half. James O'Carroll, he's taken full advantage. His second point of the game.
Yeah, you'd have to say that Erins own are totally on the ascendancy at this moment in time. Like from being totally out of the game in the first 15-20 minutes of the game, they have done unbelievably to get back into the game and to be within striking distance now. There's only a point in it. Unlucky to give away a free there. I think Cathal O'Mahony has
in a spot of bother here,
over one of the O'Keefe's. That probably is only a yellow card, to be fair. There's nothing major in it. But like you'd have to say what a change in fortunes, both from the Blackrock side and the Erins own side. That Erins own have grew into the game. Blackrock shot out of the traps, were very much, I suppose, dominant all over the field, and some of their, I suppose, their inside lads, the two lads inside, I suppose, Tig and Alan Connolly have been battled up well in the second half, and that's good defending, and that's a good change around from the Erins own defence. But like, part of this is probably has been the water breaks as well, that you've had the opportunity to talk to your players and have a word with them and say, look, this is what's going wrong, maybe change this up and change that, and they've got themselves back into the game. But like, we saw a point that was missed by Owen Murphy a while ago from a free. Alan Connolly is getting the same opportunity that's out in the sideline here, and this is a critical for a kid so young. This is a critical free for him.
Just looking down below, directly down below us, Fergal Ryan, John Brown, Joe Young, the main men on the sideline for Blackrock, and they know how important these next few minutes are in what could be a tight group.
Well, the critical thing is not to give away frees now and get on the ball, make use of the possession. I said a while ago that Daniel Meany had a long clearance or a good clearance out of the defence, but he cleared it straight to an Erins own player. So the most important thing is to clear it, but clear it.
That's
clear
a
it to
huge
your own
score.
player.
That's nerveless from the teenager Alan Connolly. What about that under pressure?
Yeah, there seems to be a big dispute on the sideline there now from the Erins own mentors on the far side that they're giving out that the ball was wide, but it has been registered, and that was a big test of Alan Connolly's character there now.
2-point game again in favour of Blackrock. 58, almost 58 and a half minutes on the clock at Páirc Uí Rinn. It's been a fantastic opener in this group. Erins own have deserve huge credit for the second half comeback. They just weren't right in that first half. They were being dominated in most areas of the pitch by Blackrock. Diagonal ball inside, beautifully picked up, and Bowen's in there sniffing another goal. Just couldn't take the ball with him that time though. And Blackrock earned the free. Another close run thing though.
Yeah, and there was a good opportunity that came across. Owen Murphy had won it. He offloaded, and unfortunately the connection didn't stick. But this game can still go anywhere. But I mean, you would be I suppose Blackrock would have the 2-point lead now. But what they need to do is no freeze in their defence. If Erins Own can get on the ball and get a score, let Erins Own forwards do that. But don't concede freeze is the important thing.
Breaking ball, and James O'Sullivan almost onto it. Worked away by Shane Murphy. Kieran Hero Murphy held up over on that far sideline. Uses his physical strength to work his way in field. They've got the free Erins Own.
And he's had a big influence in the game since he has come on, Des, because he's anxious to get on everything. He's moving the ball fast. He's calling, he's supporting, he's encouraging all these players. And it's huge to think that a player of, we said 37 years of age, but it's his experience, that he's still driving the Erins Own bus in some respects.
Shea Bowen has come out to take this one. He's got plenty on it as well. Another test for that Blackrock full back line, which is heavily manned. And off they break again. Ball driven down the far sideline. Erins Own back in possession though. To and fro in the closing stages that Park are in. Stephen Horgan trying to escape some close marking. Horgan, good block. As Blackrock came out to meet him.
And it's very good play from the defence there as well. Got in the block and got in the hook, put pressure on him.
Dangerous ball from Shane O'Keefe. Excellent goalkeeping again from Shea Bowen. But he's under pressure here. Looking for a route out. Cormac Dooley provides him with an angle for the pass. Still struggling to get away with it. Determined work from Alan Connolly to try and keep Erins Own penned in there. Here they come again. Hero Murphy skies that one. Plenty of air in it. Blackrock repel the danger once again. Lovely turn. Is there a score at the end of it though?
No, great pressure from the Blackrock defence, and Cathal Cormac has been excellent in the last 4 or 5 minutes there on the half back line. But as a unit, the defence has been very, very good in the last 10 minutes for Blackrock.
Not much left now. 61.5 minutes played, and this might be just the score that Blackrock need to see them home and hosed.
Well, they definitely need to push it out to 3 points. I suppose when it's at 2, it's a very, very dangerous scoreline. Because you're not here nor there, because the point won't do you, because you're going to get beaten, so you'll have to go for a goal. So at least if this goes over, pushes it out, and you'll be saying that Blackrock will get a minimum of a draw out of the game to get into a 3-point lead. 62 minutes on the clock. I suppose what we're not noticing here today is that we don't know how much extra time is actually being played. There's no scoreboard, or there's no official on the sideline showing injury time.
Yeah, no mistake at all from Alan Connolly. And there's pressure that comes with that free taking role, especially in games as tight as this. I think that's 1-9 now by my count for Alan Connolly.
It's a very good return for Youngful, isn't it?
Erins Own need this ball. They need it quickly. There's a 3-point deficit as they try to push men forward. They're a little light at the back. Here's an opportunity for Blackrock, and Robbie Cotter has taken his chance. Super score from Robbie Cotter. A 4-point game. Is that a bridge too far now for Erins Own with what little time remains?
Push it out to a 2-score game, Des. Erins Own are going to need a goal and a point now to get something out of this game.
Looking to finish strongly here. Connolly out in front again. Lovely hand pass. They've got the numbers here. Going to go to finish it off. And Shea Bowen, another outstanding save, just to keep Erins Own breathing, if only just in this group opener.
Another magnificent save by Shea in the Erins Own goals. But it's amazing that the Blackrock players, the minute that the game went to 3 or 4 points, they've actually seemed to have a bit of a swagger back in them again.
That shoulder was coming from a long way off, but he rode it well. Excellent work there from Gary Norberg, one of the stalwarts for Blackrock. He's been around a long time.
a great Blackrock name. I think his father was Frank Norbuck, used to play for Blackrock. And I think it seems like the Erins own player has come off the worst in that, and it was a very, very courageous shoulder by both players.
James O'Carroll, I think he'd lined him up from a long way out, but
Norbuck
rode
the tackle, and he's been very effective full back now as well.
He's still holding his shoulder, James O'Carroll. He's going to soldier on to the end here, which isn't too far away now. Lovely sideline cut from Stephen Cronin. Morris O'Carroll trying to put the pressure on. And Gavin Connolly over towards that far side, and DC to resume his battle with Cian O'Connor. At the discretion very much of the referee now. We've played 64 and a half, heading on 65 minutes. It's a goal or nothing, and then they'll need even more after that. Owen Murphy lobs it inside, but it's Norberg who takes it. Supported by his corner back, Richie Lade. And Blackrock running their way out now. There's room, as the supporters are pointing out on this near side, and it's gone in that direction with Shane O'Keefe. And further right again, Daniel Meany, who's always good for a score or two. This one won't quite have the legs though. Drops into the waiting hands of Shea Bowen, and that will take us to full time. Well, a big rally in the second half from Erins own, but ultimately it comes up short. Blackrock off to a winning start here, Mark, 216 to 212.
Yeah, and I think both teams are actually going to get something from today, Des. I think on the overall context, the first 25 minutes, Blackrock were totally dominant. Erins own came back into the game and made a huge fight of it, and never got level with Blackrock at any stage, but got within a point of it. And I thought there was great credit due to Erins own that they actually got back into it, because the game could have went away from them on a number of occasions. And then I suppose down the closing stretch there, 5 minutes, I think Blackrock seemed to steady the ship, but I think importantly that the defence for Blackrock in the last 7 or 8 minutes didn't concede frees. They got into hooks, they got into blocks, they turned over the ball, and up front then they got a number of frees, but they also got a point from play late on that was critical for them.
Maybe the crucial psychological factor in that second half was, as Erins own came back at them, they couldn't get in front and find themselves in a position where they could push on from that. They were always chasing
the game. Never got in front. Never got to that point where you said, look, okay, I'm level there, and the next point then would be crucial for the team to go on and try and win the game. But I think Erins own have proved that they're not gone away. And when I said about they've got something from this game, I think they'll go away tonight. They'll assess the game after and say, do you know what? If we probably were up at the pace of the game in the first 20 minutes of the game, we wouldn't have been so far behind. Robbie Flynn got the opportunity for the goal. We didn't get anything from the penalty, didn't get anything from the 65. So there was scores definitely went to begging from Erins own in the start of the first half that probably put them under pressure and left Blackrock get to a point where they were comfortable. But Blackrock got very uncomfortable in the second half, and I think that was down to Erins own, but maybe a little bit of nervousness on the Blackrock side as well. They'll probably looking at themselves and say, look, okay, and that does happen to teams, okay, when they go out of the game. But I thought they showed admirable fighting qualities, predicting the last 5 or 6 minutes to actually steady the ship. Alan Connolly got a great point over on the shed side of Parky Ring here. That was a quality point when it was needed, just to shove out the game to 2 points, and then later on a late point as well there. So I think in the overall context of things, I think both teams will get a lot from today. But I think Blackrock, with the injuries that they have to the three, Niall Cashman and Alan O'Callaghan, Michael O'Halloran, they're 3 key players in that Blackrock team. Now, if they can get another victory in this group, they'll be as good as qualified with 3 lads to come back into the team. That puts them in a driving position, particularly in this group anyway.
And the focus now will switch in this group to Newtown Chandram, who had a good run again last year, and to Bishopstown, who face off tomorrow. How do you see that one going? Yeah,
I think I'd be slightly concerned on the Bishopstown side that they were well beaten in the football last weekend. They have a good number of players that are dual players, and it's difficult for, and I would say in the overall context, it's very difficult for any team that, or any club that has a dual involvement, particularly I suppose the likes of Douglas and Nix and the Glen. They would have a lot of crossover with players in the bars. So I would say Newtown Chandram last year, under the guidance of Pat Mulcahy, I wouldn't say they were a surprise package, but they took down Blackrock here, and they possibly should have beaten the Glen as well. So I think, Newtown are, I suppose, rekindling some of that, that really good team that they had with the likes of Jory and Ben and Pat Mulcahy,
in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, they were a magnificent team. So they're getting back to that level. I would fancy Newtown Shandrum in that game if they can continue their form from last year.
To broaden it out with these two, Blackrock just going through their stretches, and which will be very important these days. For both managers, we don't know now how much a team will come on from week 1 to week 2 in terms of these games, but from Blackrock's point of view, as you said, from Fergal Ryan, lots of positives to take out of the game, but maybe given what happened in the second half, a bit of a stick to beat them with in training during the week as well.
Yeah, well, I think that the championship is very fair, because all the teams are going to be out this weekend and all the hurling teams are going to be out again next weekend. So there's no team has, with an extra week or 2 weeks between matches. So from that perspective, it's the same for every team. So no team is going to get a jump on anybody else. There's lots to work on. I mean, Martin Bone had mentioned before the game, we don't know really where we are. But I think Erins will say to themselves, okay, if you stop the clock at half time, or maybe 25 minutes, you'll be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Stop the clock on 58 minutes, you'll be thrilled. 2-12, 2-11, point in it, the game could have went anywhere. So there's lots of positives, I think, for both managements. But as you said there, maybe stick to beat the lads with. Blackrock will be saying to themselves, look lads, why did we fall asleep 2 or 3 minutes before half time? What were we doing for the first 25 minutes of the second half? We only got 3 points in that 25-minute period. That's, I think, what Blackrock will be looking at. Erins only be looking at it and says, okay, we need to where were we for the first 20 minutes of the game? Was it the strangeness of no supporters?
Yeah.
Was it the fact that we didn't have a dressing room before the game? All those things feed into the psyche of players, and we don't know how teams are going to react. But look, it's a new experience. If we went back 3 months ago, we might have had no games days whatsoever. We have a championship now. Teams just have to deal with it and go back to the field now Tuesday night again and get the spirits back up for another match. Because just because you lose the first game doesn't mean you're out of the championship. There's an awful lot to play for, and this is the excitement of the new format of the championship, where you have 3 round robin games, you're guaranteed 3 matches, and a lot of these matches and the groups won't be decided, I think, until the final match. And there's a lot to play for, because scoring difference is going to come into it, both for the top 2 teams and for the relegation teams that are going to qualify for that. So there's an awful lot to play for this. Yeah,
and a big week ahead for the management and the selectors, but also for the medical staff, and just to make sure everyone's right this week now.
Yeah, and what you're finding as well is that a lot of teams that have players with niggles and stuff like that, they're not risking the player, because they might be 90% fit at the moment, and their physio or their medical staff are saying, look, if you had another 4 or 5 days, you'll get 2 more matches out of him. Give him a break. Don't, if he gets injured now and tears his hamstring again, or twists the ankle again, or damages it again, he's going to be out and probably miss the rest of the qualifying side of it. And because the championship is condensed into that 11-week period, if a person gets a serious injury now, he's going to miss. He could miss the qualifying of obviously your team getting to the latter stages. So I think the medical staff and management are being, I suppose, be responsible, making sure that the players are available for the most important games.
So it's the storied Rockies who get the win here against Erins. Massive game coming up, it'll be throwing in quite soon actually over in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and it's the one for the traditionalists, I suppose, and the city lads. We're not city lads, but we'll forgive them that. The Bards and the Glen, how do you see it going?
Look, it's a game that everybody, actually not alone in Cork, wants to see. It's the game that everybody will be viewing this evening. I think the Bears have made huge strides over the last number of years. Played a lovely brand of hurling last year, so if they can maintain that momentum and that development, they're going to be bang there. And they have the Cahillans, and there's a young lad tonight, Jack Cahallan. We saw Alan Connolly tonight here. There was a young lad, Jack Cahallan, who's a younger brother of Damien and Connor, who's Niall Cahallan's son as well.
And they're coming off the Castlehaven game as well.
Absolutely, but he's a really, really good prospect. And then obviously on the Glen Rover side, they've won a number of counties in the last 4 or 5 years, and Patrick Horgan is their key man. I think the Glen may shade it slightly, Des. The Bears have new management this year, so we don't know how that has worked out yet. we'll probably know in a couple of hours. But if I had to call it, I think that the Glen possibly will sneak that game this evening.
Yeah, and in association with Co-op Superstores, we're heading to a Riverstick tomorrow. Ger Cunningham will be alongside me for what will be a spicy local derby, I'd imagine, in the Premier Intermediate. That's Valley Rovers against Ballinhassig.
That's right, yeah, and I'm reliably informed that there was huge classes and they hadn't met each other for about 60 years until both teams had got up the grades, and in the last number of occasions I think Valleys have come out on top in the last number of occasions. So I mean, Ballinhassig will be looking to get a result there. But look, the local derbies are very, very critical. The pity about this whole local derby thing is that the crowds that you would expect to be at the games, and there would be, and you saw there in that game this evening, there's only maybe 40 or 50 supporters here. Fellas were starting to get agitated, and there was shouts coming in from the sideline. Fellas were getting involved, and that's what's going to be missing, I suppose, from the local derbies. And I remember playing in my days with 3 games with Yall down in the Hedda, and there was 2 draws, and the middle one was a Thursday night at 6 o'clock. They said there'd be nobody at the game. There was 2,500 people paid in for that game, and they weren't. They were treated to a classic game which finished a draw and a draw after extra time. And those men, that's 15 or 20 years ago, and I can still remember it. So.
But the positive is that these days will come back. The fans will come back. So for now, we're happy to have what we have.
And there's what you're finding right now is that you have the club game is front and centre in the national situation now. So whether you're reading the Irish Examiner on Monday or the Independent or whatever paper you're picking up, you're reading about the club game, the pictures of our club players, the write-ups of our club players, and we need to protect the clubs and we need to promote the clubs. And we have a good championship now on Cork that has started on a very good game again, covered live on the live streaming tonight with the Examiner and in conjunction with the Co-op as well, which is great from a Cork GA perspective that you've had a couple of major moves, say, from a sponsorship point of view this week in the Bond Secure on the football side of it and the Co-op on the hurling. And I think they are massive things. I think they are proving that the brand of Cork hurling and football, that people want to get in behind the Cork brand and support it. And I take my hat off to the people that negotiated the deals, but also the sponsors that came in behind it to say, we're going to add our weight to the championship, which I think is fantastic from a Cork point of view.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this tonight. Blackrock and Erins Own, we give them credit for serving up a really exciting group opener. Blackrock off to a flyer in a good position now in the group. Erins Own with a little bit of catching up to do, but based on their second half performance, you certainly wouldn't rule them out of contention. Mark, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch up again real soon. I'll be alongside Ger Cunningham, as we mentioned, tomorrow down Riverstick for the Premier Intermediate hurling clash of Valley Rovers and Ballinhassig. Hope you can join us for that one. But for now, for myself and Mark and all the team here at Páirc Uí Rinn, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.